Where do you want to see improvement? What could change?
Environment. We're about ready to go to Paris, COP21. This is an area that I think we can work very closely together.
With the new administration, because you weren't that close with the old administration.
Well, we were working with the old administration, but I think that in this particular case, the new Prime Minister has been forward-leaning in terms of climate change. The tone, the language, the style, I would say it feels very good at this point.
On the battle against ISIS, there's going to be a change there. And I'm wondering how your government sees the fact that Canada wants to withdraw at least part of its ISIS mission, and that's the active combat part.
The coalition now is 65 partners. I need to pause and say thank you to Canada. Canada has been an important part of this coalition this last year, and we very much appreciate the partnership at all levels with Canada.
But if Canada changes what its mandate is in that fight, is that a problem for the U.S., or do they understand that there will be changes there?
I don't want to actually presume an outcome here. He hasn't formed his government, and we'd like the opportunity to come in and sit down with the new government and talk about the broad aspect of the coalition and what we're trying to get accomplished.
Are you suggesting that you'd like the opportunity to try to lobby to stay in the framework that Canada is already in that fight?
What I'm really saying is I'd like the opportunity at every file with every minister to sit down and have a conversation, develop a relationship, so that we can sit across the table and talk about opportunities, and where there are differences, have a good understanding for each other of where we see things differently, and work to really good outcomes that work for both of us.
Diplomacy is often all about trade-offs. And just in a couple of things we've talked about, there's the potential that Canada might up its game on the environmental front, change its game in a different direction on the international front in terms of the battle against ISIS. Is that a trade-off worth discussing?
I don't know if I'd look at those two and link those two, actually. I'd sit down and say to you wholeheartedly, we have no better friend, we have no better ally than Canada.
You know, I think we both say that on both sides of the border all the time, and we understand that relationship, the longest undefended border, all that for years. But then we hear at the same time, you know, one of the candidates for the highest office in your land saying he wants to build a wall.
That's absurd. It's just absurd.
That's the end of that discussion?
It's the end of that discussion.
That'll never happen.
It's absurd.